Okay. Today's Mishnah, it's a little, you have to hold cup a little bit, but not so much. What I sent out on the chat, just did a 2-page summary of what we're going to do today. So after the Mishnah, you could look it on. I'm going to show it on the screen here, just to understand the sequence of the Mishnah. Once you get the basic rule, it's very easy. So first thing you should know that when a person gets married, so you become usher to your mother-in-law. That's, once you marry somebody, you become usher to the kroivin. If a person just had an affair with somebody and didn't marry that person, then you're permitted to marry the sister, you're permitted to marry the mother-in-law. You're just not related. It's just a maiseis nus. Okay, that we understand. Now we got to look into the psukim of, here's the psukim of Yibam, where the Torah discusses Torah says that if your brother dies, meis echemem, 2 brothers were living, let's say, and one died. So then Torah says that woman falls to Yibam. She can't marry somebody else. And the Torah says Yavama Yavay aleha. The Yavam should have marital relations with that person, and then that's the way you get her as a wife. So from the pasuk, it seems to say that right away your brother dies, just have marital relations with your sister-in-law, and that's the way we read the Torah. We will learn later on the Chachamim added that a person, to make it more, step by step, a person should give kedushin to his yavama. In other words, he should say Hareyat mukudeshes li, like we do in a regular marriage. First give her kedushin, and then you should have yavai. And that's called mamar. Mamar means you're saying Hareyat mukudeshes li. Now, according to the way we learn, since the Torah only said Yavam Yavai Aleha, that really minat Torah, if you give kedushin, it's just worthless. It's not doing anything. Chachamim said that it should do part of the job. You should. The Chachamim gave it efficacy that it does a half a job. It's the halfway mark to getting to marry this Yavama is by just saying kedushin, and by derivation, if the Torah says do chalitza to get rid of her, but what would happen if you just gave her a get? You wouldn't even marry her. She just fell to Yibam and you gave her a get. According to the Chachamim, that releases part of the zika. And we'll learn that once you give a woman a get, you cannot do Yibam anymore. You can't change your mind. Because by giving her a get, even though the Torah says you should give chalitza, by giving her a get, the Chachamim gave efficacy to that get, and therefore you're not allowed to live with her. You actually have to give her a divorce. So that is the introduction of the Mishnah, because the Torah only describes bia and chalitza, right? If you want to yabam her, do bia and the chalitza. But Chachamim said that there are other things that have efficacy, partial efficacy, which is mamar, which is kedushin, and gittin. Okay, that's one point. So now let's begin the Mishnah. We're just going to learn. We're going to touch upon Rabbi Gamliel, but he's just Rabbi Gamliel is just one person in this Mishnah. The rest of the Mishnah goes according to Chachamim. Rabbi Gamliel is of the opinion that that we're not sure. The Chachamim, we're not sure what happens. The Torah only says you could have marital relations, and that's how you're koina. But maybe the Torah meant also that kedushin works. So perhaps it works 100%. 100%. That if you did maimer, you don't need bia. In other words, you're already married to her, or it doesn't work at all. So it's not like it does partial. Rabbi Gamliel holds either maimer or gittin works 100%, or it doesn't work at all. And therefore, let's see the ramifications of Rabbi Gamliel's opinion, and then I'll just show you the sheet, the picture, and you'll see where it comes into play. Rabbi Gamliel Oimer. Rabbi Gamliel says, "Ein get acher get." You can't have one get followed by another get. In other words, a person had 2 women from his brother falling to Yibam. If he gives get to one, nothing will happen if he gives get to the second one. V'loy mamar achar mamar. If he does mamar after mamar, nothing happens to the second mamar. So let's see the picture, and you'll see what I'm talking about over here. Here's the picture. Ruvain, it's very simple. So you'll be able to figure the whole Mishnah out by yourself. Ruvain died, had left over 2 wives, falling to Yibam. So what happened was Shimon gave a get to Chana, and then he gave a get to Leah. So first he gave a get to one, and now we could get to Leah. Rabbi Gamliel, very clearly, Rabbi Gamliel is of the opinion that when you give a get, either it works 100% or it's nothing. The Torah says chalitza, but if you give a get instead of chalitza, so Rabbi Gamliel holds that perhaps it works 100%. So if it works 100%, then you're usher on the kroivim of Chana, because once you give a get, it's almost like you were married to Chana, and therefore you're not allowed to marry her Chana's mother or all the relations of Chana. But once you give another get to Leah, so you're not usher on Leah's kroivim. Why? Because no matter what, if get works 100%, then Chana released this whole Yibam situation, because Chana took instead of taking Chalitza, she took Gittin, but that just releases the whole falling to Yibam situation. So by you giving a get to Leah, it's like I go over to a strange woman on the street and giving a get. This doesn't mean anything. I'm not usher or relatives. But if it works. If it doesn't work, then it's not going to work for neither. So Shimon won't be usher, not on Chana, not on Leah. So that's what it means. Ein get acher get. The get that follows the first get does not aser kroivim on Shimon. Does not aser kroivim on Shimon. So Shimon will always be permitted, according to Rabbi Gamliel, to marry the kroivim, the relatives, for example, the mother of Leah. So that's clear. The next thing is same thing of Mamar. Instead of doing Gittin, he gave her a Mamar. He gave Kedushin to Chana. If it works 100%, then Shimon actually did Yibam with Chana, according to Rabbi Gamliel. It works 100%. So then by you giving another Kedushin to Leah, it doesn't work, because you can't be Mekadesh, the wife of your brother, when you did Yibam to one of the sisters, one of the wives. Because once you do Yibam to one, you're not allowed to do Yibam to the second house. The Torah only says you could only build one house from your brother, not 2. You could only marry one of his wives, not 2 of his wives. So the second is not efficacious at all. And if you want to say the first one is not efficacious, the first mimer is not worth anything, because according to Rabbi Gamliel, either mimer works or it doesn't work at all, then the second one is not going to work either. So you're always going to be permitted, according to Rabbi Gamliel, to the relatives of the second wife. Okay, the second wife that you did Gittin to, or the second wife that you did Ma'amar to. Okay, that's what Rabbi Gamliel holds. Now, there's a point over here that this all could play out according to Rabbi Shimon, according to Rabbi Gamliel. You could give another scenario: is Reuven dies, and if he only had one wife, and you have 2 brothers. The first one did Gittin, the second one did a get. So Shimon did a get to Leah, and the Levi did a get to Leah. It plays out the second scenario. Whatever Levi does will not be efficacious after Shimon either did Mamar or Gittin, because according to Rabbi Gamliel, either it works 100% or it's a waste of time. Now, just to clear one thing up, that according to the Chachamim, we're going to learn, since it always works halfway, okay, according to Chachamim, by you giving mimer or a get to the woman, by Shimon giving mimer or get to Chana, it only works halfway, and therefore there's something left over. So Shimon, by giving another mimer to Leah or a get to Leah, he will now become prohibited on the relatives of Leah. So according to Rabbi Gamliel, according to Chachamim, yesh mimer, yesh gittin acher gittin, yesh mimer acher mimer. And that's the whole Mishnah. So let's read it again. Rabbi Gamliel says, "Ein get acher get." The second get that you give after the first wife has no efficacious, no matter what. Mimer doesn't after you gave mimer to one lady, the second lady's mimer doesn't affect any isser. V'loi bi'ila acha bi'ila. This is a clear, everybody agrees to. If you do what the Torah said, and you did bia to one of the women, right? If you did bia to one of the women, that you did the yibam. so then the second woman is not your wife. So if you do bia again to the second wife, you're not kind of her, because this Mishnah goes according to Rabbi Akiva, who says that since there's a law for marrying, actually this will become an Eishes Ach, so everybody would agree to this. This woman is an Eishes Ach, and therefore the second woman reverts back to being an Eishes Ach because you did Yibam on the first wife. So the second wife is Eishes Ach. So Be'ila, the second Be'ila is just the Maises Nus. V'loi Chalitza Acha Chalitza. And a Chalitza after Chalitza doesn't do anything either. In other words, you don't become also on the Kroivim. So if you did Chalitza on the first woman, clearly, if you did Chalitza on the first woman, think about it, that means you're away from this Zika. There's no Zika anymore. So when you do Chalitza on the second woman, it's like I go to a street to a strange woman giving Chalitza. It means nothing. So therefore, you don't become usher in the kroivim of the second woman. So Rabbi Gamliel is of the opinion, the second woman, you never become usher on the kroivim. That's Rabbi Gamliel's opinion. Now, the Chachamim say, yesh gate acha get, yesh mamar acha mamar. As I explained to you before, the opinion of the Chachamim is that get does do a half a job when it comes to Yibam. It does do half the job. And therefore, you left something over. So if you do get to the second wife, you become usher in her kroivim. V'yesh mamar acha mamar. If you do kedushin for the first woman, you can do kedushin for the second woman, and you'll become usher in her kroivim, because the first kedushin that you did for the yavama, for the first wife, is only a half a job. You didn't complete the job, so you left something on the table. So if you did kedushin to the second woman, you become usher to the second woman's kroivim. But they do agree, if you do it exactly the way the Torah said, either you did bia to the first woman or chalitza to the first woman, then anything you're going to do to the second woman has no problem. It doesn't affect a prohibition against the kroivim. Nothing can work. Nothing can make you also to the kroivim of the second woman if you did be'ila on the first woman. You did, which is a total yibam. If you did a chalitza on the first woman, so then no matter what you're going to do to the second woman, you're not going to become asar and a kroivim. Klum. Loi acha chalitza klum. After you do a chalitza, nothing can make you asar on the second wife. Now, I want to tell you that again, that this Mishnah, and we're going to learn later on, is the opinion of Rabbi Akiva, that if I give chalitza, according to Rabbi Akiva, let's get the picture up. According to Rabbi Akiva, if you give chalitza to Chana, right? If you give chalitza to Chana, and then you want to marry Chana, once you give chalitza to Chana and you try to marry her again, so that's your chalitza woman, so then the kedusha would not take effect. Because according to Rabbi Akiva, there's a law that you're not allowed to remarry your chalutza, and because there is a lav, any kedushin you will give to her will not take effect. Okay, now, so Ketzad. Let's see how this plays out. Now, here this Mishnah is dealing with. The Mishnah starts very simple, with one woman. Also, mama b'yavimtoi. A person did mamar with one yavama. Okay, one woman is falling to yibam. Okay, one brother survived, and there's one woman falling to Yibam. He did, instead he did a kedushin with her, right? Then the nos-in-law get. And then right afterwards, he gave her a get. He changed his mind and says, I'm giving you a get. So then the Mishnah says, Tzricha heimenu chalitza. You still need a chalitza, because mina Torah, she's still your Yavama. Just because you gave her a get doesn't take away the whole Yavama problem. So despite giving a get, you need chalitza. So that's easy. Now, also the second case that the Mishnah discusses is also maimer b'chalitza. If you took this one woman, you gave her a maimer, which is kedushin, harayat mekudeshes li. Then you thought about it, and then what did you say? I don't want to marry her. So instead of giving her a get, you decided to give her just a chalitza. Okay, which is great, because chalitza removes the whole Zika problem. You're not and the whole Yibam problem. But because the Chachamim said, because you gave a kedushin, it becomes like a kedushin drabanan. You gave her a quarter or a ring for kedushin. Tzricha hamen a get. You still need a get. Okay, so that's to take off. So the chalitza will take off the yibam, the zikas yibam. The get will take off a mimer. So remember that after doing mimer, you always need a get. You can't get just walk away with this from chalitza. Now a guy did like this, and remember I told you that really Chazal really wanted that you shouldn't, when your brother's wife falls to you, right? You shouldn't right away have relations with that woman. The Rabbanan wanted it to be like more edel, more like a regular marriage. So you give her a mimer, and then you should do biyah. So also umamar ubal. If you gave her kedushin, you gave her a ring, and then you did biyah. So harei zu kemitzvah sa. That is the mitzvah, because that's the way the Chachamim really wanted you to do it. And therefore, once you did biyah, by the way, of course, chalitza is worthless. You did the biyah, you did miyabim her. She's your wife. And therefore, if you want to get rid of her, you have to give her a get. Next case. This one woman, nosan get, va'osa mimer. And let's say you gave this one woman a get, and then you did mimer. So you did a get. Now, once you did get, now I'm telling you, Chachamim say that if you give a woman a yavama get, you can't change your mind and say, I want to have do yibam. Once you gave a get, that's it. So you still need chalitza. So the asamayim, and then you decide to give her kedushin. The truth is, you can't get rid of her. Tzricha get b'chalitza. You need a get to get rid of the mimer, the kedushin that you gave her, and chalitza, because you can't just do biyah. You can't decide that you want to be miyabim her anymore. Why? Because you started it off with a get. Once you start something with a get, that's it. You lost your chance to do yibam, marry her. Now, what happens? He didn't listen to what the Chachamim said. Nosan get. A person gave a get. Uba'al. What does it mean? And he did biyah. Wait a second. So, but you're not supposed to do biyah. You're not supposed to do yibam. Chazal said once you give a get, you can't do biyah with the yavama. You gave her a get first. So then, first of all, the fact minat Torah, this would work. I mean, you didn't listen to the Chachamim, but this would work. So this, by doing biyah, she automatically becomes your full-fledged wife. So tzricha get. If you have to, the Chachamim will make you divorce her and give her a new get because you did biyah. But you still need chalitza. Now this is questionable. Why would you need chalitza? You were already miyabim this lady, right? You did biyah. So the answer is because this is called a yibam pesula. Now the Mishnah introduces that as a yibam pesula. Since this is a type of yibam biyah that Chachamim were frowned upon, they didn't want you to do the biyah. Therefore, midrabanan, you didn't take off the zika of the yavam. So therefore, you need a chalitza. Chachamim required that in such a case, you're going to need a chalitza. So a very interesting case. You make a biyah with a woman, and you think the Chachamim will make you divorce this woman and will make you give a chalitza for this woman. Now, next case, nosan get v'cholatz. You gave a get, and then you did chalitza. So ein acha chalitza chlom. So then, once you did a get, and then you did chalitza, so you did chalitza. So you first gave a get, which you broke the zika, and then you totally smashed it by giving the chalitza. Then no matter what, ein acha chalitza klum, this is very interesting. Ein acha chalitza klum means you can't remarry her. And if you try to give her kedushin or something like that, it's not going to work, because our Mishnah goes according to Rabbi Akiva that ein kedushin toifsen b'chayvei lav. It's a lav to marry a woman that you gave chalitza to, and kedushin would not work. So nothing happens. Then the Mishnah says cholatz. Let's say you did chalitza. Okay, you got rid of her. You got rid of her by doing chalitza. The first thing you did with this woman is chalitza. Va'asa mimer. You did mimer. So then by giving her kedushin, it doesn't work, because, as we said, the Mishnah is Rabbi Akiva, and giving her kedushin again, you didn't effectuate anything. Or cholatz, you gave a nas and get. This is or after chalitza, you just gave a get. Well, nothing happened. She's already also to you, and you also in her kroivim because you did the chalitza already. So therefore, you didn't do anything. Nothing happened over here. The Mishnah is going to continue. Ein acha chalitza klum. Or what happened? You did chalitza u'ba'al. You did biyah with her again. That's a biyah znus, because according to Rabbi Akiva, once you give chalitza to a woman, you can never marry her no matter what. You can't give her kedushin, you can't do biyah with her, so it's only znus. So therefore, it doesn't work. You didn't do anything. Nothing else went wrong over here. You don't have to do anything. Oi, what happens? The opposite case. Baal, you first did Yibam. You did Bia, Yavam. Instead of giving Kedushin, you right away did Bia with your sister-in-law. And then, Va'asa then you gave her Kedushin. You did Bia first and then gave her Kedushin. Of course, that's obvious. Nothing went wrong. You don't have to do anything. Or you did Bia and then Nos and Get. Then you gave her a Get. So, or Bia, V'chalatz, and then you did Chalitza. So once you did Yibam, so first of all, when you give a Get, that means she's not your wife anymore. If you did Bia and you did Chalitza, obviously this Chalitza is not going to be enough. So in order to get rid of her, you don't need a new Chalitza. That's what the Mishnah is saying over here. It means, if you want to get rid of her, you after Bia and a Chalitza, you have to give a Get. So let's pause over here in a minute and just review what we learned in the Mishnah. And this is why I sent you this chart over here in the second page. And then the rest of the Mishnah will continue, and that's it. That's the whole the daf today. So you have one woman, you gave Maimer to that woman and Get. The Mishnah says you give Chalitza. Mama v'achakach Chalitza, Get. Mama v'achakach Bia, k'mitzvasa. That's the mitzvah. And then the next case, the 3 Gittin case. First you gave Get, and then you give Mama Bia Chalitza. So you can figure it all out. Einacha Chalitza klum. And then the Mishnah goes in order. You give, what happens if you give Chalitza first? And then the Mishnah gives you the scenarios. Then you give Mama, then you give Get, and then you did Bia. So it tells you what the Mishnah paskin. And the same thing of what we learned over here. Bia v'achach Mama, Bia v'achach Get, Bia v'achach Chalitza. So the Mishnah just gave you just 12 scenarios. 12 scenarios over here. That's the Mishnah on Amid Aleph. Now we're going to switch to Amid Beis. Now, the Mishnah just does it. The Mishnah went and discussed if you're doing all this to one woman. What happens if you have 2 women? It's the same. It works out the same way. Achas yavama achas liyavam echad. Whether we're talking about one yavama to one yavam or achas shtei yavamas, 2 ladies. That means the brother that died had 2 ladies, and they're all both falling liyavam echad. You could work out the same halacha. You think about it, you'll come up with the halachas yourself, but we'll walk through it one step by step. Ketzad. 2 women are falling to Yibam to one brother, okay? Now, Osamayma Bezu, you gave Kedushin to one of them, right? Umayma Bezu, and you gave Kedushin to the other. Now, you're not supposed to give Kedushin to the other because you reserved one of the ladies to be your wife, and you were supposed to do Yibam with that lady, but if you gave the other lady Kedushin, then forget it. You lost your chance to do Yibam. So, Tzricha Shnei Gittin, you have to get 2 Gittins to get rid of these 2 ladies because you gave her a Kedushin. And a Chalitza, to get rid of the Yibam situation, you have to give them a Chalitza, but the Chalitza can be given to one of the ladies. You don't need to give Chalitza to both. You give to any one of the ladies, preferably you give it to the first one. That's what you did Maimer to. You give her a Chalitza, and then that's how you walk away from this scenario. What happens if you get Maimer Bezu, Beget Lezu? Let's say you gave one Maimer to one lady and a Get to the other lady. So now, again, once you're playing around with the other lady, you can't do Yibam anymore. So therefore, Tzricha Get, you need a Get for the first lady to get rid of the first lady. So therefore, that's why you need a Get, because you gave her a Kedushin. V'chalitza, and to break up the whole Yibam situation over here, because you have to do Chalitza to get rid of both of them. Okay, let's say, again, 2 ladies. Mama Bezu, you gave Kedushin to one of them, Ubar Lezu, and then you did Bia to other. Oh, so now here, you actually did a Yibam to the second one, Midaraisi did a Yibam, because you gave Kedushin to the first one, which is only Drabanan, but you did a Bia, like a real Yibam to the second one. So this Yibam to the second one should not have been done, because you did a Kedushin to the first one. How are you going to marry the second one? How are you doing Yibam to the second one? If you did it, Chachamim will force you to give Tzrichas Beit Gittin. You need 2 Gittin, one for the Bia, because that's your real wife, one for the Maimer, because that's your wife Midrabanan, and the Chalitza, and you need to get Chalitza. Now, why would you need Chalitza over here? Once you did Bia, you actually did a Yibam with one of them, so then the whole Zika falls off. So what's your answer to that? The whole Zika falls off. The answer is because this is called a Bia Pesula. You were not supposed to do Bia. A Bia Pesula, according to the Chachamim, this Bia Pesula will not release the Zika. And therefore, you were required to do a Chalitza. Okay? That's a very a point. Okay, now, the Mishnah continues. Mama bezu b'chalitz v'cholatz lezu. Let's say you did a mimer to one of the ladies, and then you did a chalitza to the second lady. So you did a chalitza, so you got rid of the zika. So harishon tzricha get. All you need to do is give a get for the first one, but the chalitza then released the entire zika over here. Then the Mishnah continues. Get lezu v'get lezu. If you gave a get to one and a get to the other, okay, still there's a zika over here. Tzricha amena chalitza. You still need chalitza to get rid of the zika, because what releases a yibam is only chalitza. So just because you gave a get to each one of the ladies, you still need a chalitza. Next case, and I guess you're getting the hang of it if you're following along, to be able to figure out what the halacha would be. Let's say you gave a get lezu and ubal lezu. You gave a get to one and you did bia to the other. Well, were you supposed to do bia to the other? No, because you gave a get to one of them, you're already supposed to set yourself up for chalitza for that one. So therefore, by doing bia, that's an illegal bia, but really midaraisa it works. So tzricha get. The second one needs a get because you actually did a bia, you would miyabim her, so you need a get. But chalitza and a chalitza to get rid of the whole zika. Next case. The chalitza is to get rid of the whole zika because the bia, the yavama, the siyibim is a posel yibim so far. So chachamim require you to give another chalitza. Next case. Tzricha get chalitza. Get lezu. I'm sorry. Get lezu. This is where we're up to. Get lezu maimer bezu. You gave one a get to one maimer. So the second one, why are you giving maimer to that one? Once you give a get, you're already setting it up that you don't want this whole thing. So if you give a mimer, a kedushin to the second one, tzrichas get, v'chalitza. You need a get to get rid of the second one, v'chalitza, and to get rid of the whole zika. Get lezu, v'cholas lezu. If you give a get for this one and a chalitza to this one, ein acha chalitza kolom. And then there's nothing chalitza, because once you give chalitza, so then the whole zika falls off. And you only did give a get for the first one. You didn't do a kedushin for the first one. So there's nothing left to be done. So ein acha chalitza klom. Now the Mishnah says, cholatz the cholatz. Well, so let's see. So this part of the Mishnah reverts back to one person. Okay, so far now we're going back to one person. You gave a chalitza and then you gave a chalitza for that same person. So you give two chalitzas to one lady, okay? One lady is now falling to Yibam, and you give her two chalitzas. So that you did nothing with the second chalitza. Oy chalatz, you did chalitza, v'asamayim, and did kedushin to her. Doesn't work. Because remember, after giving chalitza, giving kedushin is not going to make you married to her again. You can't marry your chalutza. Or after chalitza, nos and get, you gave a get, you didn't do anything with the get. Or these are obvious things. You did a chalitza, ubal, you did bia with her. You did chalitza, and then you made bia with the same woman that you did chalitza. That's a bia znus, because again, you can't marry a woman that you did chalitza to. This is according to Rabbi Kiva. Next case, oy bal ubal. With one woman, you did yivam, and then you did bia twice. Obviously, you didn't do it, that's fine. Oy bal, you did bia, v'asamayim, and you did a kedushin afterwards. Doesn't mean anything. Or you did bia, nos, and get. You gave a get. So then it's not your wife anymore. You don't have to do, or you did bia and you did chalitza. So ein acha chalitza klum. This is going back on the first case. And of course, ein acha bia klum. There's nothing left to be done after you do a regular yibam. The only left thing to be done after regular yibam is to get rid of her. If you want to divorce her, you have to give her a normal get. But you don't have to do another chalitza. And once you give a regular chalitza and a kosher chalitza, then you don't have to give a chalitza again. That's what it means. Ein acha chalitza klum. Again, this all scenario plays out with one man facing two women, or two men facing one woman. Okay, that's plays out the same way. Now the Mishnah concludes, and then we'll stop. The Mishnah concludes and says, Cholatz v'osa maima nosan get uba'al. Okay? The Mishnah says, Cholatz, you did chalitza for two different women. Okay, let's say, one woman. Again, one woman. Cholatz v'osa maimer. Okay? Cholatz v'osa maimer. Nosan get uba'al. You did chalitza with one woman, and then you did maimer for that same woman, or nosan get, or you give a get for that woman, or a ball and you boil that woman, or you first did bia for that one woman, and then you did maima v'nosan get v'cholatz. So ein acha chalitza klum, bein batchila, bein be'emtza, bein besoif. What the Mishnah means over here is, in the last case of the Mishnah, is like this: if you do chalitza, right, and then you did maimer, and then you gave a get. So, and this is talking about, let's say, one person or even two people. Doesn't matter. It's the chalitza first, then the maimer, then the get. As soon as you have a chalitza in there, everything is done. Doesn't matter what order the chalitza is. Whenever the chalitza shows up, nothing else needs to be done. Ein acha chalitza klub. Okay? Now, the final case of the Mishnah is we introduce somebody who disagrees with this whole thing. Again, this is the opinion of Rab Nechemia. Let's see. V'habe'ila. This is very important. If, let's say, you did a bia in the beginning to one of the women, let's say, it's two women, and you did bia to one of the women, then nothing you can do to asa yourself on the other woman. Ein achareh klum. Because once yibim is done, the whole zika falls off. Fine. Be'emtza. Ubesoif yesh achreh klum. If you did bia after you did something else to another woman, if you did maimer to this and bia to that, remember, let's say you did maimer to one lady. Now, we spoke this out before. You did maimer to one lady, and then you did bia to the second lady, right? If you did bia to the second lady, you weren't supposed to do that bia. So that's a bia psula. So therefore, you're going to need a chalitza to get rid of the zika. A bia psula, according to the chachamim and what we're learning, is yesh achreh klum. There's something more that needs to be done. Means that the bia will not solve the problem. You're going to have to do a chalitza afterwards because it's a bia psula. But Rabbi Nechemia says doesn't matter when the bia happens. Achas beila, achas chalitza, bein batchila, bein be'emtza, bein besoif, ein achareha klum. There's nothing more that needs to be done. And that's where we'll stop over here. But let's just get it straight. The last case of the Mishnah, the machlokes. Let's say you're dealing with two women, right? So if you do bia to the first woman, and then the second woman, you did kedushin, you did v'asa maimer, nothing happened because this maimer that you did to the second woman doesn't take effect because, according to Rabbi Akiva, which is the author of our Mishnah, once you did yibum to one lady, you can't do anything to the next lady. You did bia. So that's clear. If the bia comes first, then there's nothing else can happen with the second lady. But what happens bein be'emtza? Let's give a case where it's in the middle. You gave a get to one lady, and then you did bia. Now this bia is questionable. I'm putting here like a question over here. Okay, putting here like a question over here. This bia is questionable because when you gave get to one lady, you were not supposed to do doing bia to the second one is called bia psula because the Rabbanim frowned upon such a bia because you already threw away this whole yibum business by giving a get to one of the ladies. So therefore, according to the Chaman, this bia is you have to do something. You need a chalitza afterwards. So even if you did maimer afterwards, let's say there was a third lady that you did maimer to, still you're going to need a getting for the woman that you did maimer if there's a third lady over there, because and you can't marry her, and you're going to need a chalitza because this bia didn't take away the zikas yibam. And again, if you put the bia at the end, again there's a problem. You did get to one lady and you did maimer to the next lady. Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry. Here we go. Let me just share the screen. Okay. I'm just repeating what it says and then we'll stop. If the bia came at the middle or the end, then according to the Chachamim, this bia is an unqualified bia to get rid of the zika, and therefore you're going to need a chalitza. According to Rab Nechemia, there's no such a thing. As soon as you have bia in there, if you did bia with one of the ladies, then that's it. You don't have to do a chalitza anymore. So this is a machlekes at the very end of the Mishnah. But I hope you get all the klolim of the Mishnah as we discussed throughout the Mishnah over here. Okay, this is as listing as it cuts in this Masechta. But again, the Mishnah just gives you 12 scenarios in the beginning, another 12 scenarios in the second part of the Mishnah, and another few more at the end. 24 little cases, but once you get the klolim straight, it's easy to figure out. Okay.
Did you hear about a book called Kiddushim Shelo Kadas, something Bnei Israel? Ever heard of something like that?
Kedushin Shelo Kadas?
Something else. I don't know what that...
We're touching on that point right now, where somebody gives a get to the woman. When she fell to Yibam, you gave her a get,
I understand.
and then you want to give her a kedushin, or you want to marry her, change your mind. That's it's a frowned upon. It's a right. No, I never heard of that.
Yeah, I'll see if I can dig it up. Very interesting. Some of the things that I've heard many years ago, but not for now. Next time.
Okay. Be'ezus Hashem, we will continue tomorrow, and everything. And once you get used to the klalim, everything is the whole paragraph is very clear.
Very good.
Okay. Akatanach to everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.